today's topic is online and cross-border shopping. The goal of today's lesson is to be able to calculate the exchange rate between the Canadian dollar and other currencies. First question I have, how much is our dollar compared to the US dollar? I'm going to show you a tool in Google which makes it very handy for us to calculate exchange rates. If you type in exchange rate, it will automatically show you what 1 Canadian dollar is equal to in the American dollar. I can type in a value here, so maybe I want to know what $25 Canadian is in American dollars. It shows us that it is worth $17.85 today. Now, I say today because it changes every day, and it shows us in the last month how our dollar has been changing. It shows us the graph of what the money was worth in the last 5 years. So we see that right now we're at a low. 71 cents is a low. Back in January of 2016, it was around the same. But if we go to September 2017, 1 Canadian dollar was worth 81 cents or so American, and that was a high. So this is a really nifty tool to use and very helpful. But since this is a math class, I will show you how to calculate it by hand. Well, back to our question. How much is $1 worth compared to the US dollar? We could say 1 Canadian dollar is equal to 0.71 US dollar today. Now, since I'm showing you how to calculate it by hand, if you're using today's value, it would be much easier to use the Google tool to calculate the exchange rate. But this method is useful if we're using rates from days past that isn't listed in the Google Exchange program. Now, what is $54 American in Canadian dollars? This is the rate that we have. You might remember creating a square like this. This square is to help us create a ratio. On the left side of the equal sign, I'm going to put the rate. So this would be 1 Canadian dollar is equal to 0.71 US dollar. You'll notice that on the top, we are comparing American dollars to American dollars. And on the bottom, we're calculating Canadian dollars to Canadian dollars. Now, it doesn't matter whether you put Canadian on the bottom or Canadian on the top. As long as it's consistent on both sides, then it's going to work. So let's put in our exchange rate. The American value of the exchange is 0.71. And the Canadian value for our exchange is 1. I want to know what $54 American is, and this is our actual value compared to our actual Canadian value. This is something that I don't know. But once I've set up this square, I'm able to create a ratio. I'm creating a ratio by making this a fraction compared to this fraction left of the equal sign. So I have 0.71 divided by 1 is equal to 54 divided by x. The next thing we're going to do is cross-multiply. You might remember cross-multiplying in a ratio. That's taking our numerator and multiplying it with the denominator on the other side. And you're going to do it the same with the other numerator and denominator as well. So I have 0.7 times x is equal to 54 times 1. The next step, we're going to simplify to solve for my x. And since I have 0.71 times x, what we need to do is we're going to divide 0.71 to both sides. Divide by the coefficient of, so we have 0.71 x divided by 0.71. This is equal to 54 divided by 0.71. Let's simplify it. 0.71 divided by 0.71, we know that's 1. And on the other side, we have 54 divided by 0.71. I'm going to call up the calculator. 54 divided by 0.71. And that would be equal to 76.06. 76.06. And this is the value in Canadian dollars. Let's do another question. What is $36 in or $36 Canadian worth in Azerbaijani manat? So you might be wondering, what is the country of Azerbaijan? Let's look it up here. I've pulled it up on Google. Azerbaijan is a country that was part of the former Soviet Union, and it's located right here, in between Iran, the Caspian Sea, Armenia, Turkey, and Russia. Now, I chose that country because I used to work there many years ago. I'm going to type in our exchange rate. Now, this time, I would like to put my Canadian amount on top and the Azeri manat on the bottom. I know that 0.82 Canadian dollars or 82 cents is equal to 1 Azerbaijani manat. The actual number that I'm looking for is 36. So I'm going to put $36 on top. And on the bottom, I want to know what this is. I'll put X. Let's create our ratio. 0.82 divided by 1 is equal to 36 divided by X. We're going to cross multiply now. And that means we're taking our numerator and multiplying it by the denominator. So we have 0.82 times X is equal to 36. We're going to divide by the coefficient. And in this case, we have 0.82x divided by 0.82 equals 36 divided by 0.82. Let's pull up our calculator. 36 divided by 0.82. 43.9. So X is equal to 43.90 Azeri manat. Now, a lot of people will start asking me, Miss, why don't I just divide? But sometimes we won't be able to do that. Now, let's look at this example. It all depends on what the rate is and what value we're changing into. What is $36 worth in Djiboutian franc? Where's Djibouti? So, quick geography lesson. Let's go over to Google, and I typed in Djibouti. Djibouti is a country in East Africa. So Djibouti is in between the Gulf of Aden, Eritrea, Ethiopia, and Somalia. A tiny little country that speaks French and Arabic. Now let's get back to our exchange rate. We're going to type in our exchange rate again. This time I'm going to put Canadian up top again and Djiboutian francs on the bottom. 1 Canadian dollar is equal to 127.68 Djiboutian francs. I want to know what $36 Canadian is, and I want to find out what the value is in Djiboutian francs. So let's create our ratio. Our ratio, we have 1 over 127.68 is equal to 36 over x. Cross multiply. I have x is equal to 36 times 127.68. So x is equal to, let's pull up our calculator again, 36 times 127.68, and it gives us 4,596.48 Djiboutian francs. Let's see, 4,596.48 Djiboutian francs. Hey, so in this example, we multiplied. In some of the examples, we divided. The main thing is, if it's something that we need to calculate as a fraction and as a ratio, it's best to organize it into a chart like this, then solve it using our cross multiplication. Then it'll be very clear whether it's going to be a multiplication or division question. That is the end of the tutorial.